Okay, check this out. These people are pissed. These data centers are sucking the town dry.
We are concerned that there are individuals in our community that will not have the ability to keep their lights on or to have access to clean and affordable water.
So the people are fighting back, slowing down projects, challenging permits, voting out politicians, and gaining traction. And at first, I'm thinking, okay, maybe the protests are actually working.
Justice prevailed. The appellate court decision halts what would have been a massive 22 million square foot data center complex.
But then while I was researching, I kept running into this weird stat. So now I'm stuck with this new question. All this protest, all this chaos, is it actually working? And through it all, what is all of this really exposed?
Residential electric rates have jumped as data centers grab power from the open market.
I'm concerned about the water usage. I'm concerned about the noise.
Microsoft right now has plans for more than 15 data centers.
Half of the data centers being closed not getting done.
Or outright canceled.
So the question here is,
could our rates go up because of this?
Okay, let me catch you up on what I've been working on, because it sounds like demand is disappearing, but it's messier than that. Look at what's happening right now. The data center boom was supposed to be this unstoppable thing. AI grows, big tech spends, power demand explodes, projects keep piling into towns until
half of these data centers
50% canceled or delayed this year.
And at first it sounds massive. But that 50% number the media keeps showing is misleading. It's not actually demand disappearing. At least, not the full story. We'll get to that in a bit. Okay, now watch how messy this gets. Data centers need the same stuff towns already depend on. So everyone starts lining up. Big players want power, small developers want land, and speculators want upside. But the people, they were here first. So now you kind of see what's going on, yeah? Everyone's trying to get in line, but there's a limited amount of resources to go around. So the people realize, wait, why are we the ones paying for the electricity that data centers use and the upgrades to the grid?
They put the strain on everything. Utilities, water department, sewer department, everything.
So people stop just complaining about it, and they start showing up. Town halls get packed, rezoning meetings get ugly, and protests start becoming serious. In Festus, Missouri, 4 council members who backed a $6 billion data center project got voted out. In Independence, Missouri, 2 council members ousted for backing major tax breaks for an AI data center.
Leaders were accused of not listening to the will of the voters, and voters vowed to oust the council members.
So the message is pretty clear. People are awake now, and they're not going to let this continue anymore. So the protest looks like it's working. It looks like they're winning, but something weird happens. The projects slow down, but the demand doesn't disappear. But hold on, how can this be? If people are pushing back, if projects are getting delayed, then why does it feel like things aren't stopping?
across the country. New data centers are driving up utility bills in at least 13 states.
And I couldn't figure it out until I realized the protests weren't just blocking projects, they were revealing something underneath them. Phantom load. And here's the catch, fixing that problem might actually help the data center build-out survive. Okay, before phantom load, let's get you some context. You're building a data center. You don't just need land, you need power, a lot of it.
You must construct additional pylons.
But there's a problem. Power doesn't show up when you're ready, it needs to be built. Connection queues are long, and wait times for critical equipments like transformers and cables have doubled in just 3 years. Everybody is fighting the same limited resources. So if you're a developer, you don't want to bet everything on one town. So what do? What's the strategy around this? Well, the smart thing would be you keep your options open, you apply to multiple places, you hold multiple spots in line. Basically, you swipe right on every town until someone matches back. And honestly, that strategy kind of makes sense. But from the grid side, it's a nightmare, kind of like restaurants. Here, let's use an analogy. It's Saturday night, you're trying to plan a date. Everywhere is packed. So you call one place. The restaurant says, yeah, we'll call you if something opens up. Dope. So you put your name down, but you don't trust that. So you call 5 more. After all, if your date doesn't eat, they get hangry. One says 30 minutes, one says an hour, one says bro, maybe next year, and so on. So you put your name down, but you're not eating at all 6 restaurants. You only need 1 table, but each restaurant still writes your name down like you might show up. That's phantom load. 1 real dinner showing up as 6 possible dinners across 6 possible restaurants. That's what these data centers are doing. They're putting their names down in as many towns as they can for the same project. I bet you're starting to see what the town really exposed, right? Let's use the same analogy, but this time for the town and grid. You're the restaurant. 6 people put their names down, but you don't know who's actually coming. So, what do? Do you save every table? Do you bring in more staff? Do you buy more food? Because if everyone shows up and you didn't order enough, you're screwed. But if only 1 shows up and you've prepared for all 6, now you eat the cost. Today, that's the grid's problem. If they get this wrong, it's not the utility companies that eat the cost, it's the people in the town through higher rates.
She's now turned off her heat and water, leaving much of this home hard to live in.
So, how do you solve the phantom load? So now the plan changes for the town. The town wants a long-term, serious, stable relationship to plan around.
We are addressing concerns around phantom load through a registry to be administered by the Public Service Commission.
Now it's, you want power? Cool. Show the money, sign the contracts, put up collateral. They're trying to turn the queue from a wish list into a guest list.
And we are setting a clear line in the sand as to which data centers we believe should be hosted in Maryland.
AEP Ohio is already doing this. Before the new tariff, AEP Ohio had roughly 30,000 megawatts of data center requests. But once developers had to sign binding contracts and provide collateral, only 5,642 megawatts made it through that step. That's the filter. So now that 50% number starts to look different. It's not just AI is disappearing only because of supply chain issues. It's more like the bottleneck is delaying the real projects, and phantom load is exposing the fake ones. That's the part you're seeing falling off. The duplicate requests, the projects holding a spot in line, the stuff that was never fully committed, they get squeezed out. The power shortage is the visible problem. The phantom load makes the drop look sharper. And that's good. Towns get more protection, the grid gets a cleaner signal, and the bubble gets a little less inflated. But here's the side effect. Once the entry fee goes up, most players can't afford to stand in line anymore, and the leverage shifts to the ones who can. Big tech, hyperscalers. But the solution that just happened to solve the phantom load, it only fixes that. It doesn't fix the main problem, the skyrocketing energy bill. So how does the protesting force towns to deal with that? So at this point, the town's got attention. People show up. Cool. But attention isn't protection, because even if one project gets blocked, there's still a bigger problem sitting there. Who pays if the grid has to upgrade? Who protects regular people from getting stuck with the bill? Now the town needs tools, rules, contracts, cost protection. So the goal isn't more regulation. The goal is to stop the town from being the backup plan. So they start to change the rules. 1. New tariffs. Make data centers pay for the grid upgrades tied to its demand. That stops the bill from quietly sliding into regular people. 2. New rate classes. Stop treating a giant AI factory like a normal customer. Basically, put the data center in their own bucket. 3. Bigger deposits. Stop fake projects from holding a spot for cheap. That clears out the fake demand or phantom load from earlier. 4. Longer contracts. That keeps the project tied to the system. It forced everyone to plan around. And BYOG? That's a big one. Bring your own generation. Don't just ask for power, bring some with you. This one's huge, but we'll talk about that in Domino 4. One by one, the free options disappear. So yeah, this is the town finally getting protection. But it also turns the whole game into a pay-to-play. Because pay-to-play doesn't just remove the fake projects, it changes who has power after the fake demand is gone. A small developer might survive the old game, find land, pitch investors, hold a spot, wait for the grid. But the new game? This is different. Now you need contracts, collateral, minimum payments, power plans, maybe even your own generation. That's not just a higher bar, that's a completely different sport. AEP Ohio-style large load rates could add up to about 10 million in first-year costs to a 100 megawatt data center. That's not a permit fee, that's the cover charge. And the hyperscalers, they're already built for that sport. They can sign the deals, they can wait out the timeline, they can absorb the cost, they can find the power. So yeah, the town gets protection, but the leverage, it doesn't disappear. It moves. From the messy crowd that created the phantom load, back to the town, and then right back to the companies big enough to pass the new test. So now what do the biggest players do? They don't just walk away, they adapt, because for them, this isn't the end game. And BYOG, that's where the whole thing starts to shift and a whole new layer is built. Because now the biggest players aren't showing up like, can we plug in? They're showing up with a power plan. Utility deals, energy contracts, dedicated generation, mega sites built around power first. So now the rules that were supposed to protect the towns are also showing big tech what they need to control next, the power layer underneath it. And that's where the story moves to its final phase. And here's what the protests really did. By this point, the old pitch isn't working anymore. Jobs, investment, economic growth. Cool. The town already heard that. They've already seen what happens. Even Microsoft President Brad Smith said you have to win over the local community and sustain their trust if you're going to build a data center.
And what we concluded was that this is a time when we should not just acknowledge these questions, but address them head on, raise the bar on ourselves, and meet the needs of the public.
That pressure makes the next move obvious. Stop depending on the town's existing road. They become the reason power gets built. Microsoft doesn't build 3 Mile Island, but its 20-year deal helps bring a retired nuclear plant back online, because AI made steady power valuable enough to chase again.
And Google is the latest tech giant to press the nuclear button. It signed a deal to build 7 small nuclear reactors to power its AI data centers.
Amazon doesn't become the utility, but its money and demand helps push SMRs from concept into actual project planning. So you see the new goal they're after now, right? Big tech is becoming one of the first customers big enough to make finding a different power source worth chasing. That's the shift. And at first, this sounds like the fix. The town pushes back, the utility tightens up, the data centers carries more of the cost. Good. That's what the people wanted. But you see the irony now, right? The protests are trying to stop power from concentrating, but the new rules make power concentrate faster, because now the game costs more. We've seen this pattern before. Electricity had the same shape. People needed power, but wires, plants, and distribution was too expensive for everyone to build separately. So utilities became regulated infrastructure, safer, more reliable, but still concentrated around a small number of companies allowed to own the wires. And cloud computing, anyone could spin up servers, anyone could build, anyone can launch a company from a laptop. But over time, the infrastructure underneath the cloud didn't stay open, it concentrated. And today, you're watching the same patterns play out. People push back, so the rules get stricter. The cost of playing goes up. The field shrinks, same demand, fewer players. So what happens now? Is that it? Eventually, they just become a layer too powerful to stop. Is the lesson that protests don't work, and that they just make things worse? Well, not exactly. The layer concentrates first. The rails, the wires, the networks. The part that's expensive, physical, hard to build. The part that gets owned by a few. But once the layer is there, everything on top of it opens up. You didn't build the railroads, but you could ship on them. You didn't build the electrical grid, but you could plug into them. So, what did the protests actually do? They didn't stop the build-out, they changed the terms.
Ultimately, City Council decided to
reject a rezoning plan
for a $1.5 billion data center.
Towns got harder to ignore, utilities started asking better questions, fake demand got exposed. More of the cost got pushed back to the projects, creating the strain.
As an example, a single data center can be equal to adding one city to the power grid.
And that's why we insist that they pay their fair share.
That's the win. So no, the protest didn't fail. They filtered the boom. They made it cleaner, more serious, more accountable, but also more concentrated. That's the trade-off. Protection raises the floor, and the on-ramp won't belong to everybody. But the layer that gets left behind, everybody gets to build on top of it.
Are you going to protest again?
Yeah, we're going to keep protesting.
But I think you see it. This leaves one uncomfortable question. If the protests are filtering the boom down to the strongest players, then what happens afterward? And that's the final domino. Thanks for subscribing and staying to the end. If you haven't seen it, I'll link the previous video here where we answer that question. If I don't catch you there, then I guess I'll see you next month. Until then, peace.